Stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. We have two light pole hearings. One begins at 6:40, so I guess we'll have time for the minutes, and maybe that's it. One thing on the agenda, evaluations for the treasurer will not happen tonight. Things on the agenda tonight: approval of the minutes for February 10th and February 18th for 2014. A poll hearing at 6:40, another poll hearing at 6:55. Council on the Aging, bylaws and mission statement, actions on surplus of Dodge van, and approve an outreach volunteer coordinator position. Discuss possible special town meeting and a date for that meeting. Discuss and act on a letter from Open Space. We have a CPC application. Discuss and act on a senior center contract. Discuss Board of Selectmen's policies and procedures. Superintendent Miller will be here for the elementary school building committee. There's a discussion on some changes, updates to personnel policy. Discuss department budget impact statements. The status for the fiscal 13 budget will be information from the treasurer and accountant via the town administrator. Town administrator will discuss actions for tax title auctions. We'll discuss having town hall meetings to discuss or put out information for the budget shortfall. All right, the next thing is public comment on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. Does anybody have a question or a request for a future agenda item or something they would like to see?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
My name is John Kaplis, and I would like to be on the agenda next month for the current VSO and how the Veteran Service Organization is running and operating within the Templeton Baldwin town limits, knowing the fact that we're a district.
And you want to talk about the Veteran Service
That's
District
correct.
and the funding?
And
Okay.
the funding, correct. Because I did look at the cherry sheets, obviously did some homework before I came, but obviously we all know where the money is.
Okay. Anyone have any objection to put that on the agenda?
Mr.
All right,
Chairman.
very good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Yes, Fire
Just
Chief.
if I could have an agenda item for the next meeting, just to speak on ALS.
You want to talk about BLS, ACLS stuff? Okay. All right. The minutes for February 10th.
Somebody else have
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Can I put on the agenda for next time, about the reduction in hours and the budgets, unless you're gonna discuss that further? I didn't see it on the,
We do have,
is it on there?
department budgets and the impact statements of those cuts, but I'll keep that open in case
Okay,
we don't
it's not
cover it.
addressed then, okay,
Right.
thanks, Jeff.
Anyone else? All right, minutes for February 10th, 2014.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2014.
Second.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded.
I just have one change. On the last page, the discuss open meeting law complaint, the vote was 4 yeses and not 5.
Yes.
And the only reason I bring that up is just
No,
because.
it was, I think that was one of the things, one of the issues we passed.
It's okay.
But other than that, they look great.
We're getting there. We spent our 5 years.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Anything else? All right. All set. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. Next are the minutes for February 18th, 2014.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes from February 18th, 2014.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any issues, corrections?
I didn't see anything.
We all set? Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. All right, we have like 4 minutes. Basically, the open space letter is requesting to be on the next agenda. Okay, we can do it. It's a letter from the chairperson, Carrie Novak, from the Open Space Committee. At our February 6, 2014 Open Space Committee meeting, the committee voted to send a letter of interest to the selectmen pursuing town ownership of land currently known as Depot Pond. The land is in Baldwinville. It's on Town of Templeton Assessors Map 6-05, Lot 21, and contains 21.25 acres of land, mostly pond and wetland. The parcel is described as Parcel Q on Deed Book 13-271, page 316, recorded in the Worcester County Registry of Deeds, recorded March 5th, 1991. Further described in Plan Book 646, page 48, sheet 1 of 3. The Open Space Committee believes this is an important historical and ecological town resource that should be preserved. Present ownership of this property, American Tissue Mills of Mass Incorporated, its successors or its assigns, is believed to be complicated by a bankruptcy filing and may have unpaid taxes. The best way to acquire this property may be through a tax foreclosure. We, the members of this committee, think this is an important property for our town, and we'd like the opportunity to discuss this matter at an upcoming board meeting at your convenience. So,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I think I'm on open space, and I believe we voted to send this letter to the selectmen because we knew the tax liens and tax titles were going to be looked at, and we would just like this one parcel to be reserved from
Okay.
being sold off.
Check on that.
May I ask a question, Jeff? Pertaining to-
Yes.
What's with the hospital cottages? I thought we were arguing they were gonna put up all them houses there that they own right up to the edge of the ponds and stuff, the hospital cottage.
That was a long time
That was a
ago.
long time ago. How did it change? How did the deed change? How did they change? The hospital cottages, we're gonna put houses all around there. We had it for 6 months. And now you're gonna, huh? Go ahead, Craig.
Yes, sir.
I think, I might be mistaken, but I'm almost positive I'm right. Depot Pond is landlocked. So Pete, you're both right. Pete's right that Hospital Cottage owns up to the shoreline. However, American Tissue Mills owns
Got the
the
water
pond,
rights.
owns the pond itself, the actual geographical pond itself. So it's good and bad. It's preserved for open space, nobody can get to it. Now it's already open space, so it has a pros and cons philosophy on that. With the value of Hospital Cottage to increase if they were to obtain the property, maybe they could possibly build waterfront, homes with access to, so many ideas for the same cause.
Or
Just shoot
a
from
or
the
a
hip.
right
I
away
didn't
or
rock
whatever.
up till I
to
first
get
ever
to
heard
it.
it, but yeah.
Uh,
But it is landlocked though.
So we can place this, ask the open space committee to come on the next meeting?
I think that we just want consideration to
Yeah.
reserve it so it
Keep
doesn't
off
get
the,
sold.
tax
Right,
title list?
yeah.
Okay.
So that we can pursue our options, because there's the American Tissue issue, Hospital Cottages issue. There is a small strip of land. Some discussion was made to connect it to the cemetery.
Get in there or
Yeah.
something, All right, what are they looking for, vote from us?
I make a motion that we exempt parcel Q on deed book 13271, page 316, recorded in the Worcester County Registry of Deeds, recorded March 5th, 1991, from being sold off in tax title.
Any discussion? Okay. Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. All right, we now have to have the first of two hearings. I would entertain a motion to go into the hearing.
I make a motion that we go into the poll hearing regarding Baldwinville Road.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. Diane?
Yes.
Yes.
Ken? Yes. And yes. All right. Tom? This is Baldwinville Road, and this is a pole that's on the common in front of the library.
As you know, with the reconstruction of Baldwinville Road, the intersection of Baldwinville Road and Patriots Road was reconfigured, and in the process, the leg, the exit off of Baldwinville Road across from South Road was eliminated, and that's where our poles and wires are now. We just like to move them, get them out of the town common area to the side of the sidewalk, where we can access them and create, a bigger common area also. Would involve moving two poles, 146 and 147, and eliminating 148. That third pole, 146-1, that would be actually a service pole on private property. I included in there just in the scope of the job.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we allow Templeton Municipal Light Plant to relocate Templeton Municipal Light Plant Verizon pole numbers 146/164 and 147/165 to install a new pole to be numbered Templeton Municipal Light/Verizon pole number 146-1/164-1 on Baldwinville Road, as shown in the attached drawing.
Second. All right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Is there anyone here that lives on the common area? I don't see, I can only think of one. I don't see him here. And this is pretty much across the street from, where there's the library and Boynton Road and the common, and then the country mischief, right about there, right? Where the But this is the new entrance for Ballinville Road?
Yes.
Off the 2A, and you turn, Country Mischief is like right here?
Yes.
And the pole will be right there around the corner, in case anyone's not sure where this is
Yeah,
headed.
there'll be two, they'll be right off the new sidewalk with the guy wire.
Any questions? All right. Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. Thank you very much. Entertain a motion to close the hearing. We can probably do the-
All right, so moved. I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Full hearing. First full hearing.
Second.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. We have 10 minutes till the next hearing. We could do the 6% contract, that should be good for you.
Yep.
There is a contract for, this involves the senior center. And this is going to involve work that will be done by Monday.
Yeah.
If you want to speak on this?
I can.
Because we got 8
Yep.
minutes.
Basically, we've had the good fortune of Monty Tech being interested in doing the plumbing work at the new senior center. However, we have to have a little bit more detailed drawings of the plumbing layout and installation and things, because you know, a regular plumber that we would hire, the drawings we have are sufficient. But part of the Monty Tech program is that they need to teach and be able to read extremely detailed drawings. So they want a full, you know, architectural blown plumbing design. So in order to do that, we need to contract an architect to come up with those. So basically, we've located an architect. He's extremely reasonable in price. So he's just asking us to sign a letter that, you know, we agree with his terms and conditions. It's not truly a contract like we would normally have. It's really, he's just asking for a signature to acknowledge that we agree to the terms. Yes?
Who you got for acknowledgement? Who's that?
It's Sterling and Associates. They're out of Cambridge.
Cambridge. You don't have a plumbing inspector or anything here?
No, Monty Tech needs the an architectural design
How
of
much
the
that one
plumbing.
gonna cost you?
It's about $3,000.
A lot of cupcakes.
But our estimation for, if we were to go out to bid on the plumbing, our estimation of that is about $25,000.
No joke.
No, to make
My house in town. pay
Okay,
taxes.
all right. So they're gonna utilize Monty Tech rather than going out for a plumbing contractor to do it, which you just said
Right.
is $3,000. And they try to teach the kids real-life experience, like when you go on a job, like you're gonna work off a blueprint, you're gonna work off of plans, so they wanna see that so they can work off them.
Right, so it's a win-win for the school because they're getting a good commercial job to work with the students. It's a win for us because we're going to save a pretty good chunk of money by not having to pay the labor of a plumber.
How much is that you're gonna save? Do you have an idea?
I don't have an exact estimate of the material, because we will have to pay for the material cost. But I would estimate that the material is probably around $10,000. And the architect is gonna be about $3,000, so we're looking at probably spending $13,000 versus $25,000. So that's, really all we're asking for tonight is just to, we weren't sure if the committee, should sign and make the acknowledgement that we agree to the terms, or if we needed to have select board sign. So that's why I brought it up for discussion tonight.
Yes.
Doug, at one time, wasn't the balance like $259,000, or is it dwindled since then? Do you have like a time frame or a real strict budget? I know that the design has been changed several times, and each time I'm sure it costs money. Have you set aside some for finishing the kitchen and the offices and
The budget is tight. We're still on track. We don't know that we'll be able to finish the kitchen at this point. We're not finishing the downstairs. We're going to try to finish enough that the food pantry will be able to move in. But we won't be finishing the entire lower level. The budget is still on track. We haven't run over, but on a few things. We still have, I don't have the exact budget numbers in front of me, but we've got probably $140,000 that's uncommitted still.
And now that you're going to use Monty Tech students, which is a wonderful idea, is this going to be, the project will be done by late May, early June when they take their vacation, or is it going to go into the following school year, into the fall?
No, I don't think it'll go into the next year.
Have you got an estimate from their the counselors to get an idea of exactly what it's going to entail in the time frame?
I don't have an exact time, no.
So you're just surmising that it's going to be within the school
The
year?
conversations that we have is that they'll be ready to go to work once we have the architect design for them.
And the architect design, you said $3,000?
Mm-hmm.
And each time it changes, how much is that? When some of the walls get moved around, is that like a pro bono, or is it a couple of $1,000?
That's their letter says that he's gonna charge somewhere between $2,200 and $3,500. The last time we had a discussion, he said we've used about $3,000 worth.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you.
All right.
So I don't know what the board's feeling is, if we should sign it, or if the committee should sign it, or if we should just have Bethany, the department head, sign it.
Yeah, because it's like no real,
Right, all he's looking for really is just an acknowledgement that we agree to the terms and that we agree with the scope of the work as he's outlined it.
I will make a motion that the Board of Selectmen enter the agreement with Sterling Associates Incorporated for the design of the plumbing for the senior center.
I'll second.
okay, motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. All right, we got about a minute for the next poll here, so.
By the way, I have a quick question through you to Doug, in regards to the senior center. Is the road down there complete going in?
Yes, it doesn't have the final hot top coat. We're going to do that in the spring.
Okay, all right.
Right, but other than that, it's done, yep. Drainage is in. It's been, reclaimed all the way down to the bottom and back up.
So we'll probably next year town meeting to accept it, because planning board rules and regs 1 year from finished coat.
Yep,
So, just checking things.
yep.
All right, entertain a motion to enter into the second poll hearing for the State Road.
I make a motion that we open the second poll hearing for the State Road.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to enter into the poll hearing. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. All right, Tom?
This is for a group of poles, 6 located on State Road across from Cody's Market. Right now, the pole line follows the road up until that curve, and then the pole line kind of veers into the woods site. The poles are 1950s, and a couple of them are actually 1940s. They're pretty frail. I'd like to just move them to the side of the road where we can have access to them. Involve setting 6 poles, 4 of them with push poles, and also would require 5 anchors with guy wires.
Yes.
It says that 2 large oak trees will be removed.
They will have to be, yeah.
Okay. Are they on town property?
I believe so. They're fairly close to the road.
Okay. Where are they located on the map? Because that's where we usually run into issues with the trees.
Well, it's not directly across from Hamlet Mill, but toward, toward Gardner a little
Yeah.
bit. In between Hamlet Mill and Cody's Market, there's 2 rather large oak trees
Okay.
that would be in the way, that would have to come down.
What's that?
Yep.
Ken?
That was my question. Do you know if they're shade trees or not? Are they amongst other trees, or are they kind of by themselves? Like, I guess the tree warden could tell us that.
They're sort of by themselves. There's a bunch of little brush type things along the side of the road, but they do kind of stand out where they are. I don't know if that answers your question.
Across from Hamlet Mill, there are no homes though, correct? Isn't that just empty space? Did you ask if they were shade trees?
Right on.
Because,
Because there are different rules that apply to
Oh.
shade trees to just trees that are in the wet part of the
Okay.
forest. But the tree warden would probably be.
so if the tree warden said that they were shade trees, you would not be able to remove them?
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that.
I'm asking.
Oh.
Do you know the answer to
Yeah,
that?
I don't.
You don't. Okay,
I
well,
have
that would
not
kind of,
contacted-
that would hamper what you are trying to do, correct?
Yeah, without
If you
those-
couldn't remove
If we
those?
could remove those trees, we would be able to do the work.
Okay.
It would be on town property, it may be on state property, since that's a state road. I know some parts of state roads are under control of towns, but the state plows that road.
That's true.
And I'm not sure, I mean, we could go over just.
They need to stop talking in the back so they.
Excuse me, please. I think this was brought up one time before.
Could you I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
couldn't hear you.
my
Could you
question
repeat what you
is-
just said?
My question is, this is a state road.
Yep.
And I think the question would be, the trees, rather than being on town property, may be on
State
state
property.
land because the state plows Route 68.
Well, would that apply to the poles also? Because you're moving them from there to the edge, more to the edge of the road,
Right.
correct? So is this, I think my next question was gonna be, are we voting on something that we shouldn't really be voting on
I
before you
don't
go
know,
to somebody
it's-
else?
Like I said, the question of the pole location may not be such the big deal, but the trees.
But the tree part.
The trees, yeah.
the state.
Well, I can contact the state and definitely find the answer.
You could, John,
You gotta find out, just because it's a state route, Route 68, doesn't necessarily mean it's a state-owned road. And you're gonna have to check into that.
well, my thoughts is, it is state-owned road.
Yeah.
I think.
It is state, it is state owned.
We could either, I think we could either not do this, or vote with the stipulation and the approval of the state. I think that's our two options. Kurt?
There's maybe cross jurisdiction here, but I know Route 68, if you were gonna cut a driveway or a road, in, you need to go to the state for a
Right,
curb
yes, that's,
So-
I'm
so it's definitely-
99% sure
definitely
it's
a state-
state road.
jurisdiction, whether it's cross jurisdiction or not, but if you need a curb cut or something like that, you've gotta go to the state on 68.
I'm sorry, didn't they just do some work to that road up the, closer to the cemetery recently? Yes
The
or
bridge.
no,
With
because
the Gardner line,
something comes to mind to me.
Over the
like-
line.
Yeah.
Over in the gar-
They
in-
they left in the culvert
Okay.
there, down the hole
Okay.
by Turner Street, or Bridge Street.
so I think that's our choices, either vote to approve removal with stipulation, approval of the state, or just put it off.
The state road starts right by the Lee's Hot Dog Stand, there used to be a Macca there, and it goes right to West Street where the restaurant is, the top of the hill by the dollar store. That's the state road.
Okay.
Right.
And then it starts by the post office in Bonneville, and then that's state road the other way, and then just beyond Bonneville Road there, by Neil Cullen's house,
That's what
state
it
road.
picks up. So, I think those are either postpone this in hopes they could get an answer until our next meeting, or
So,
vote okay to move the polls with
subject to,
stipulation.
were you gonna make a motion, like,
Uh,
to approve it
no,
for
I'm just-
subject
I'm
to, or,
just-
no?
I think that's our two options, is either postpone this
Yeah.
or vote to approve the moving of the polls on the
Subject,
stipulation
yeah.
that the state okays it. That's our only two.
I was just saying, because we'll have to have another, we have to have a hearing regarding the trees for the tree warden to come.
Anyway.
So he may, so if we could approve it conditional on the state and the tree warden, then the tree warden may have more, may have additional information on it.
It would just be nice not to delay the process for them.
They
to
would be town trees, Mr. Robinson, they'd be state trees.
Well, it was in the request from Light and Water, that's why I mentioned it.
So therefore, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, this whole thing, I guess, is a state issue, rather than both the trees and the poles.
I think.
I don't know what to have.
So,
So we
yeah,
should,
that's just, when it's
we
a
should vote
state
anything
road,
at all
that's,
then?
I
Yeah.
think. And they would
Probably need more
give clarification on how far the state, from the center line, they own both sides. I mean, it could be a couple feet, or it could be, so,
I think we should take no action on it.
so. All right, so you could go with state road.
Yeah,
They're
I'll
okay.
contact the state.
All right. Okay, entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make, sorry, second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes.
Jeff, hard for me to hear. Please.
I understand.
Thank you.
All right.
So this is just-
All right. All right, the next thing we'll discuss is, excuse me, I'm gonna say one last time. If you people want to converse, please go out in the hallway. I can hear you, I kind of put up with it, but we have one member who has trouble hearing with the commotion in the back. All right, and that's just the rules of all meetings.
It's also disrespectful too.
All right, the next thing we'll talk about is Superintendent Miller, the Elementary School Building Committee.
Okay, I have two things, if you'll bear with me. One is the Elementary School Building Committee, and the other is our biomass heating proposal. Is that okay if we go over both of those? Will be somewhat a little blended, but it shouldn't take very long.
Okay, it's not on the agenda, really, so it shouldn't be discussed. There may be people who would want to hear about that and have input and talk on it, and where it's not on the agenda.
So, all right, I can put the request in writing to you. It doesn't have to be done at a meeting, but I was hopeful that you would take it up because of the timeliness, necessity for trying to get this in for the next winter season to save the district some substantial amount of money. Suppose I just briefly, well, anyhow, so it's on the sheet, it's combined, but as far as the Elementary School Building Committee is concerned, we met the other night, and the committee unanimously decided to request that the board sign the designer contracts, of which I have 4 copies for you, Jeff. And this was negotiated well within the money that the Elementary Building Committee had requested. It's a reduction in the services being required to complete the feasibility. Yeah, there's 4 copies, just make sure they all get back, he can sign them. So they unanimously would like you to sign that. It's within the money that was, the committee had asked be spent on the designer contract. The scope of services is less because the MSBA has worked with us to reduce the scope of work, and so the money is substantially less. It's going to be a document that's going to take you a little bit longer to go through than you have this evening. I can come back and get the signed copies at another time. And that is boilerplate language from MSBA, so if we want to have an MSBA project, we're kind of locked into that contract language that's set before you. And it's pretty extensive document. So the elementary committee voted unanimously to have you sign that document.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would respectfully request that we bring this up at the next meeting so that we have a time to review the contract. If you look at attachment A on the payment schedule, it says basic services, feasibility study phase, $160,000, and all of the rest is to be determined. And I believe that the $550,000 was to get us to schematic design. And how much money is left in the account?
Once you go through the entire document, Julie, I'm sure you'll see that the scope that we're asking for his work is greatly reduced, and that it falls well within the money that you have for feasibility study that has been set aside, with additional monies left over after you look at the designer contract and the OPM contract. We're still within, and this should get you to feasibility and actually get the documents into the MSBA by the summer.
Schematic design.
Not schematic design, I said feasibility.
Okay. So this is this is money to finish the feasibility study.
Correct. The designer part of the letter that we got from MSBA outlining what we had to do to get in compliance and back on track with the building, updating our contracts with the OPM and the designer were part of that. The OPM contract has already been signed and settled. This is the second part of that, which is the designer contract signed and settled, all being paid within the feasibility money that you currently have already allotted.
Right, and how much money do we have
Well,
for feasibility?
I didn't bring that tonight. I would
Okay.
think that you have that, but I gave Jeff Ritter the last true accounting of the money for the feasibility and how much was left. And I still have that back at the office if you'd like the last accounting from when I think Tammy was here.
Okay. The contract for project management services signed June 25th, 2009. And this is somewhat, there's a contract signed for a design build, March 23rd, 2010. It's between the town of Templeton and Sims, Maine and McKee. And then there is a contract signed June 25th, 2009. It has Narragansett Regional School District, Town of Templeton. And it describes things, the definitions and basic services and reimbursable expenses, and things like that. And there's a Schedule A, it has payment schedule. And of course, this listed a total fee not to exceed $989,813. And the first problem is there was only $550,000 appropriated, so.
Well, respectfully, those contracts now have expired. You have signed a new contract with the OPM for a different sum of money. You need to, the next step would be to design, to read and sign the designer contract, which is all within the dollar limits that you have set. If you did vote for, and I know those past documents, I mean, we've been at this for like 5 or 6 years now, but the two can't be compared because the MSBA changed their contract forms, and part of what they said for us to get back on track was for us to redo the contracts with the OPM and designer with the new current language. So to try to, the language of those prior contracts really don't have anything to do with the new contract language. That's why I think you probably need time to read them before you sign them.
So this whole packet that you just handed us is all reworked and redone?
Under the new MSBA, yes.
Okay, so it's all been updated?
It's all been updated. The OPM that you are paying is the one that negotiated it with the designer, and he forwarded it to us. And when you go through it, you'll see that it took him a while to negotiate, and you'll see the scope of work for the designer has dramatically been decreased from the original contracts. And that's because of the agreement with MSBA.
Well, I would like more time to look at it. I would also like to point out that in attachment B, does Carl Weber still work for?
No.
Okay.
No, I think they gave you some of the old stuff, and it referenced kind of the older scope of work that was included. But no, Carl does not work with them anymore.
All right, and is Diane Clark the MCCPO for the school
That was the
district?
old, I think that
That's
was
the
the
old
old
stuff?
documentation to compare to the new scope of work.
Okay, I thought it was the updated stuff.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
No, so I'm not looking for you to sign it tonight, but if you could, review it and get it back to us with questions, I'd be happy to forward them, or we could have you talk directly to Jonathan Whitaker.
The one thing that I would point out is, and this is a document dated 9/29/2013, and this is from Strategic Building Solutions to the Town of Templeton Board of Selectmen. It says the contract description is for Templeton Center School Project Management, and it has the contract amount. And down here it has a summary of hours. The principal's at $195 an hour, and financial support is $95 per hour. Now, this original contract back in '09, the Schedule A, it has financial support, worked out 2009, 10, 2011, 2012, and these rates have been increased by 3% annually for cost of living adjustments. So financial support in 2012 was supposed to cost $87.42, and if you do that 3%, you arrive at this $95 an hour for financial support, which tells me that some of these things in this original contract, they're still basing their charges off of, which is why I look at that and it says feasibility study schematic design was not to exceed $111,600. So, like I said, these August 26, 2013 and September 29th, 2013, it has a contract amount of $75,000, and consultation, coordination with the district and MSBA, discussions with SMMA on proposed development design services, and financial review of available funds. It's a total of $2,288, and it's, like I said, it has financial support for $95 an hour, and it seems to be based on a lot of this stuff on this original. So I don't think all of this stuff in this 2009 or 2010, which is all in a file in the selectman's office, is totally out the door or no longer valid, because they seem to be basing their fees off this original information.
It should be tied to your newest contract, though. I hope it would be tied to your newest contract that you're under agreement with them with. And it may be similar to the older ones, but you have a new contract. Don't put those bills away. Are those bills been paid?
These are just copies of the invoice. I would have to,
Because we had a conversation last time when I was here about those invoices, and I just wanted to make sure that at the meeting, we talked about the invoices and your concerns about, having them checked before they're paid, and that they get labeled elementary school building project. And we voted for the chair, Kirk Machete, to be the one that would come into the town and to review the bills based on the work that was done and make those approvals so that we could expedite the paying of the work as it aligns with the contract that we're currently under with the OPM, and once this is signed, the designer. So as long as that's acceptable, that's what the committee's will was to vote, so that we could take care of those bills when they came in. Kirk's here if you want to ask him about that.
and when the bills are paid and the reimbursement comes from MSBA, my understanding that goes to the district, and then the district sends that to the treasurer here. And so
And does your,
there would be a record of that in both places,
Well,
should be.
the question is, do you have somebody that knows how to do the pro-pay? Because it goes in electronically and then it's done. Do you have the capacity to do it here? If you don't, then we would be able to do it for you. And then we bring the documentation and the money over to you.
I just know in the past that that's how it flowed. The reimbursements went from MSBA to the district and then came, I'm not sure if it was done electronically or not.
Yeah, and I don't know when they put in the new propay account, but I do know that on the other projects we've had, our treasurer had taken care of that for the towns. I think, I don't know if Phillipston did it on their own. If that's something you want us to take care of, we can, but there is a certain way that you have to put those into the system.
Well, Phillipston shouldn't be getting an MSBA
No,
reimbursement
it was
because,
before, prior to the boiler projects and
Okay.
that kind of stuff, but when they submitted the invoices and the like. So that stuff has to get put into the propay system. All I'm trying to say is I'd be happy to have my staff do that for you and bring the documentation over after you've approved the bills, but that's something you'll have to decide if you want to do it yourself or if you'd like us to handle it.
okay, so we can,
Do you want me to
Hold
make
on.
a motion to table it, or?
I don't think we need a motion. Just,
Okay.
you can put this on the next agenda. So everybody has a chance to, do we have more than just?
There's
Can I-
four-
can I ask a
there's
question?
4 copies that.
Can I have
Chip-
electronic form? Do you have anything in electronic
Yeah.
form? I'd like that
Do
electronically, please.
electronically.
Yeah.
And you did, there's 4 copies that, you'll
You
need
can have
4
it.
original signatures, so I give you 4 copies.
I'm gonna take that. What is your deadline? I mean, if we don't have a meeting for another 2 weeks, I mean, what is?
Yeah, well, that's a bit problematic, but we can continue to move forward with the OPM, but we just won't, we'll be, you know, well, there's another piece to this as well, that might as well get it all out, and then this will tell you why there's a bit of a, the other thing that the school, elementary school, actually wanted to go ahead and pass it down. They also, at the meeting, they voted to request that a $500,000 debt exclusion article be placed, and on here it says a March 4, 2014 special town meeting. I can explain that, but that has to do with the biomass. In support of the schematic design phase of the elementary school project. They would also like to have a town have a ballot election on April 15th, 2014, if the debt exclusion article passes on town meeting floor. And what the reason for this is that the money that was raised in debt exclusion 5 or 6 years ago is only going to get you through the feasibility phase of this project. And that will go, and what that part of the project is that you have to have alternative sites, 3 alternative sites. One, Baldwinville, which they've already deemed to be unacceptable. The second one was Templeton Center, which they've deemed to be unacceptable. And the third one being the land on Crow's Hill that Senator Brewer was graciously enough to help us get legislation through. And all that this feasibility will do is show that the land is capable of having an elementary school built on it. The schematic design phase, which is a $500,000 approximately, of which approximately 60% will be paid by MSBA, so that the amount to the town that would actually need to be raised by taxes is approximately $200,000. That part of you need to have the schematic design work done, because that will give you exactly what the school is going to look like, all the nuts and bolts, and then you'll be able to go out and actually tell the town what they're going to be voting on if they want to build a new school, the price, the cost, the design, and then it will be up to them whether to vote for the project. So without this money, you're not going to be able to get the actual schematic design, the process, what this building is going to look like. And
First, okay, I'm sorry.
So the elementary school building committee voted unanimously to move this forward so that we will know whether we're going to be able to move forward with the building.
You said one thing, that only 200,000 would have to be raised by taxation. The whole you have to raise the money. They have to increase their taxes for the 500,000
That's-
and spend it, and then get
No.
reimbursed.
That's not true. I checked that today, and I was told that that is unequivocally not true, that they have to vote to raise the 500,000, but they don't ever have to go out and bond more than the 200, was what I was told. And I might have been wrong, but that no, they don't, your tax rate is not based on 500,000, it's based on 200,000.
Don't see how you can spend money without appropriating the amount. Because when the Municipal Building Committee, their last thing they went out for was, it was a bid for, wasn't it the roof improvement or something? Whatever they went out for last, they had to get a legal opinion and put in the bid for whatever the amount was, that there was no money available. In other words, they went out for bids just to get a number so they could go to town meeting. Because they didn't want to just guess, say, we need 200,000